Have you ever lay in bed at 3 in the morning staring at your phone, asking yourself the same question over and over again? What did I do wrong? You replay every moment, every conversation, every text message you sent after they went silent, and you pick yourself apart piece by piece, searching for the mistake, the flaw, the thing that made them leave. But what if I told you that the question you have been asking yourself is the wrong question entirely? What if the real question is not about what you did wrong, but about what was happening inside of them that you never even saw coming? Because here is what nobody tells you. The people who leave you without warning, the ones who go quiet when you needed them most, the ones who pull away right when you thought things were getting real, they were not leaving you. They were running from themselves, and that changes everything. Think about it. Think about the last time someone you loved disappeared on you. Maybe it was a partner. Maybe it was someone you thought you were building something real with. You did everything right. You were patient. You were kind. You gave them space when they asked for it. You checked in. You showed up. And then one day, just like that, they were gone. No explanation, no closure, just silence. And you were left standing there with your heart in your hands, wondering what you could have done differently. You replayed every moment in your mind, searching for the answer, the reason, the something that must have pushed them away. You asked yourself 1,000 times, you torturing yourself trying to figure it out. But you were not the problem. You never were. And that is the truth that nobody has the courage to tell you yet. So I am going to be the one who says it right now, straight to your face. You were never the reason they left. You were the reminder of the one thing they fear most in this world. And that thing is not you. That thing is closeness, vulnerability, the terrifying possibility of being truly seen and truly known by another human being. The moment you gave them real intimacy, real connection, real love, the moment things started to feel safe and real and deep, they panicked. Not because you did something wrong, but because something inside of them went into survival mode. Their brain sent an alarm, their body said, "Run," and they listened. They were not equipped to stay, not because you were not enough, but because they have been fighting their own nervous system their entire life. They learned very early that love is dangerous, that closeness leads to loss, that letting someone in means eventually getting hurt. So they built walls so high that nobody could ever reach them. And when you started to get close, when you started to climb those walls, they did the only thing they knew how to do. They ran not because they do not love you, but because they do not know how to stay. And here is where it gets real. Here is where this video becomes the most important thing you watch today. Everything you have been feeling, the confusion, the heartbreak, the self-doubt, the endless questioning, that pain you have been carrying is not a sign that you did something wrong. It is a sign that you love someone with your whole heart and they were not ready to love you back the same way. That is not your failure. That is their limitation. And you need to separate those two things completely. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not unworthy of love. You are someone who loved deeply. And that is one of the bravest things any human being can do. And if you are still watching, if you made it this far, then I need you to understand something. This video is going to change the way you see every person who ever left you without explanation. It is going to rewire the way you think about yourself. And it is going to show you exactly what was happening inside their head that they could never bring themselves to say out loud. So do not go anywhere. Stay with me until the very end, because the truth I am about to share with you is the truth that will set you free from every person who ever made you feel like you were not enough. You are enough. You have always been enough. And after today, you are going to believe it. Now that you understand why they ran, let me show you exactly how to recognize the pattern before it destroys you. Because once you see it, you will never be caught off guard again. There is a specific sequence of events that plays out every single time you encounter an avoidant. And once you know the blueprint, you will spot it from a mile away. Not so you can fix them, but so you stop letting it break you. It always starts the same way. Stage 1. They are drawn to you like nothing you have ever seen. They text you constantly. They want to know everything about you. They ask deep questions at 2 in the morning. They remember small details. They make you feel like the most important person in the room. And for a moment, you think you have finally found someone who matches your energy, your depth, your hunger for real connection. This is the hook, and it feels incredible. But here is what you do not see yet. They are not connecting with you. They are connecting with the feeling you give them, the validation, the reflection of their own desire to be loved. You are a mirror for what they desperately want. And that feeling is intoxicating for them, but it is not about you. Not really. Then stage 2 arrives and it feels like someone flipped a switch. The conversations get shorter. The texts take longer to respond to. They start creating distance. They pull away before anything gets too deep and you feel it happening. Your stomach drops. You start wondering what you did. You try to bring it up. You ask if everything is okay. And they give you an answer that sounds perfect on the surface. I just need some space. I am not good at texting. Work has been crazy. I have a lot on my mind. And you accept it because you want to believe them. Because you think if you just give them a little more room, things will go back to how they were in the beginning. You adapt. You shrink yourself down. You give them the silence they asked for. You stop reaching out as much. You try to be less intense, less needy, less like yourself. And that is exactly the trap, because what you do not realize is that you are teaching them how to love you less. Every time you accept their pullback without a word, every time you swallow your needs and pretend everything is fine, you are sending them a message. And the message is this: distance is okay, withdrawal is acceptable, and your needs do not matter as much as their comfort. But here is the cruelest part. The more you give them space, the more they want it. And the more they want it, the less they come back. Their nervous system is now associates closeness with discomfort. And every time you step back, you are rewarding their fear. You are teaching them that leaving works, that silence solves problems, that running is the answer. So they keep running. And eventually stage 3 arrives. They are gone. Not with an explanation, not with a conversation, not with the closure you deserve. They just vanish, and you are left with 1,000 questions and absolutely no answers. But now you see the pattern, and understanding this pattern is one of the most powerful things you can give yourself right now. Because once you see it, you stop making it about you. When someone pulls away, your first instinct is to ask yourself what you did wrong. You replay your behavior. You analyze your every move. You start believing you are the problem. And that belief is the heaviest weight you will ever carry. But here is the truth. The pattern had nothing to do with you. Every time they pulled away, it was their fear speaking. Every time they went silent, it was their internal battle playing out. Every time they disappeared, it was them choosing their walls over you. Not because you were not worthy of being chosen, but because they have been choosing walls their entire life. You just happen to be standing in front of one. And that changes everything about how you process the pain. Stop looking at your side of the street. Start looking at theirs. Because the problem was never about how much you love them. The problem was that they never learned how to be loved back. And that is not your cross to carry. Now let me take you inside their mind. And I need you to listen carefully, because this is something almost nobody talks about. This is the confession that lives inside every avoidant person, buried so deep that they will never say it out loud. Not to you, not to anyone. But it is there is. And once you hear it, you will never look at them the same way again. Here is what they would say if they could be completely brutally honest with you. I loved you. I need you to understand that first. Before everything else, before the silence, before the distance, before I disappeared from your life, I loved you. And that is exactly why I ran. You have to understand something about me. I did not learn how to love the way you did. When you were growing up, love meant safety, connection, a place where you could fall and someone would catch you. But for me, love meant something very different. For me, love meant losing myself. Love meant being consumed by someone else until there was nothing left. Love meant opening myself up so wide that I could be destroyed. And so, the moment things started to feel real between us, my body went into war mode. Not against you, against myself. Because the closer you got, the more I felt myself disappearing. The more I needed you, the more terrified I became. And I did not know how to handle that fear. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I shut down, I built walls, I made myself smaller, I created distance even when I was standing right next to you. And I know how confusing that must have been for you. I know you looked at me and wondered what you did wrong. I know you replayed every moment, every conversation, searching for the mistake. But there was no mistake. The problem was not something you did. The problem was something I could not do. I could not let you all the way in. Not because I did not want to, but because every time I tried, something inside me screamed that I would regret it, that I would lose myself, that you would eventually leave me, or worse, that you would stay and I would become someone I did not recognize, and I would rather be alone and safe than loved and consumed. That is the lie I have been telling myself my entire life. that closeness equals destruction, that love equals loss, that letting someone in means eventually being wiped out. And I believed that lie so completely that I destroyed the one thing I wanted most: you. I saw how much you loved me. I saw how patient you were. I saw you giving me space and understanding and grace that I did not deserve. And every single time you gave me more room, I felt myself pulling further away. Not because I did not love you, but because your love felt like a threat. Your patience felt like pressure. And your presence felt like a mirror showing me all the parts of myself I was not ready to face. And that is what I was really running from. Not you, not us, not the relationship, but myself. The version of myself that would have had to heal. The version of myself that would have had to open up and be vulnerable and stop hiding behind walls I built years ago. The version of myself that would have had to feel things fully instead of numbing them out. I was not strong enough to face that version of me. So I chose the walls instead. I chose comfort over growth. I chose safety over love. And I know that makes me a coward. I know that. But I need you to understand that I was not choosing to hurt you. I was choosing to protect myself in the only way I knew how. And that protection cost us everything. So, here is my confession. My real confession. The one I have never said to anyone. I loved you deeply, genuinely, in a way that scared me more than anything has ever scared me. And that love is exactly why I ran. Because you made me want something I did not believe I deserved. And when I could not figure out how to deserve it, I convinced myself that leaving was better than failing. I am sorry. That word will never be enough, but I am sorry. And if you ever find yourself loving someone like me again, do not make my mistake. Do not wait for me to change. Do not shrink yourself down to fit inside my walls. You deserve someone who will fight to stay, not someone who will run the moment things get real. That is the truth they will never say out loud, but now you know it, and knowing it will set you free. Now, let me show you something that will completely change how you see their behavior, because what they did to you was not random. It was not impulsive. It was not something that just happened. It was a pattern, a cycle, a self-destruction sequence that plays out over and over again, and almost nobody recognizes it for what it really is. They self-sabotaged, not because they wanted to hurt you, but because they did not know how to be happy. Here is what most people never understand about avoidance. They genuinely want love. They want connection. They want to be chosen and held and deeply understood by another human being. They crave intimacy the same way you do, and the moment they meet someone who feels right, something inside them lights up in a way they have not felt in years. But that feeling immediately triggers panic, because the moment they allow themselves to be happy, the moment they start to relax into a relationship, something shifts. Their brain starts scanning for danger. Their nervous system goes on high alert, and they start waiting for the other shoe to drop. They start looking for reasons to protect themselves. They start finding flaws in the relationship, in you, in the connection, in everything. And the sad part is, they will find them because when someone is determined to find problems, they will always find problems. And once they find one, they have an excuse, a reason to pull back, a justification for creating distance. And they tell themselves it is not about fear. They tell themselves it is about logic. They tell themselves they are being smart. They are being careful. They are protecting themselves from inevitable heartbreak. But it is not logic. It is self-sabotage dressed up in rational clothing. And here is how it happens. You do something small that triggers their fear. Maybe you had a conversation that felt slightly uncomfortable. Maybe you asked for something they were not ready to give. Maybe you expressed a need and they heard it as pressure. And in their mind, that one moment becomes evidence. Evidence that things are moving too fast. Evidence that you want too much. Evidence that closeness is dangerous. And instead of talking to you about it, instead of telling you how they feel, instead of working through it together, they do something else entirely. They start pulling back. Not dramatically, not obviously. Just enough to create space. Just enough to start rebuilding the wall. They almost let you tear down. They respond slower. They stop sharing as much. They find reasons to be busy instead of present. And they tell themselves they are doing the right thing. They tell themselves it is healthier this way. They tell themselves they are not ready and they need to slow down. But they are not slowing down. They are self-destructing. And the most painful part is that they do this right at the moment when things are finally getting good. right at the moment when you think you are both Alan, right at the moment when your heart is finally starting to relax into safety. That is when they panic. That is when they run. That is when they destroy everything, because their brain has now decided that happiness is dangerous, that when things feel too good, something terrible is about to happen. So they ruin it before it can ruin them. And you are left standing there completely confused, asking yourself what just happened. You did not see it coming. You did not do anything wrong. You were just being in the relationship. You were just being in love, and suddenly they are gone, or they are distant, or they have one foot out the door. But here is what you need to understand. That pattern is not about you. It is about every person who ever tried to love them. It is about every relationship they have ever been in. It is the story they keep repeating because they do not know how to write a different one. And now that you see it, you cannot unsee it. But more importantly, you cannot make it your problem anymore. You cannot take responsibility for someone else's fear. You cannot fix a wound you did not create. And you cannot save someone who is actively choosing to destroy the one thing they claim to want most. Their self-sabotage is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their inability to accept the love they need.